Population. Population is a pivotal element in social studies. When we refer to development for all, it is people that we have mind, especially to include those who are normally marginalized in the process of development. The idea of equality is used with reference to people. On the other hand, you often hear people blaming of population growth for all the problems. They blame the lack of jobs, food, and resources on the fact that we have to share this with many people. 92% of the working people in India are in the unorganized sector. Most of them are casual laborers or self employed workers who have to struggle for work. They have no other social security apart from their families to support them. How do we make sense of these contradictions? It is important to understand population numbers, its distribution, and characteristics that provides the basic background for understanding and appreciating the other aspects. The census of India provides us with information regarding the population of a country. A census is the procedure of systematically acquiring and recording information about the member of a given population. Once in 10 years, information is collected about all the people living in India. The people who do this survey go from house to house and find out the number of people living in every house, in every village, town, and city. This census provides us with a lot of information such as how old people are, their occupation, houses, education, religion, etc. The Register General and Census Commission of India organizes the collection and recording of this. What does the census show? Age structure. The age structure of a population refers to the number of males and females in different age groups in a country. It is one of the most basic characteristics of a population. To an important degree, a person's age influences what she requires, her capacity to work, whether she is dependent on others, etc. Consequently, the number and percentage of children in a population, people of working age, and aged persons are notable determinants of the population's social and economic structure. The population of a nation is generally grouped into three broad categories. Children. They are taken care of by the family and like everyone else. They require food, clothing, education, and medical care and all other opportunities for growth. However, usually they do not earn their income to support themselves. It is not desirable that some children are forced to work because of their economic conditions. Working age. Usually, this group forms the working populations in a society. They are also biologically reproductive. Most people in this age group desire decent income and security of work. Children and the aged often depend on the earning of this group. Aged above 59 years. Those who have been in a salary employment or in organized sector may get retirement pension. However, a vast majority of agriculture laborers, domestic workers, construction workers, and other usually continue their work as long as it is physically possible. This group also depend on their families for support in old age when unable to work. It is also possible that their medical expenses are higher than that of the other age groups. Think of the various ways in which government should have special schemes for different age groups. Examples could be midday meal schemes, Anganwadi programs, etc. Sex ratio. Sex ratio is the number of females per 1000 males in the population. This is denoted in percentage. This information is an important social indicator to measure the extent of equality between men and women in a society. You have calculated this for the families that you surveyed. For examining these figures for the country as a whole, we notice that the number of females in India has constantly been lower than the males. It is a cause of concern since it indicates a hidden form of discrimination. Women and girls in a particular face unequal opportunities for education and development. They are discriminated against in the most basic needs of nutrition, childcare and health also. They get less of these things as compared to males. This often happens with the family. Yes, this discrimination is not always obvious. Medical research shows that given similar circumstances, girls' children survive much better than boys. Hence, if there was no discrimination, the number of girls should be higher or as much as boys. The census 2011 shows that in the age group 0 to 6 ratio was 919, as the number of girls who survive is much lower than boys. This happens due to discrimination in their care and nutrition and female infant. It is noted that within India certain parts religions are extremely based against women, a distressing aspect of gender base in India that shows little sign of going away is the preference for boys over girls. One of the worst manifestation of this pro male base is the relatively higher mortality rates of girls compared with boys. This is mainly because of the quiet violence of the neglect of their health and illness in comparison with the attention that male children receive. There has also been the case of female selective abortion. Due to the preference for male children, parents may decide to abort the female child before birth. Many families consider female children as a burden. Studies have shown that the priority for male children in health continues for adults, raising the mortality rates of even adult women above those of adult men. Women's education has been a powerful force in reducing discrimination against women. There is definitive evidence that women's literacy and schooling reduce child mortality and work against the selective neglect of the health of girls. Literacy rates. As per census of 2011, a person aged 7 years and above who can read and write with understanding in any language is treated as literate. Literacy is the key to socioeconomic progress in a country. At the time of independence in 1947, 12% of the population was literate. In 2001, it was 65%. It grew to 74 by 2011. However, the 2011 census shows that there is a wide disparity in literacy rates for men 82% and women 65%. Working population. It was pointed out earlier that those who are in the age group of 15 to 59 are working. They might work throughout the year or only for a part of the year. This depends on the availability of work. As discussed earlier, this does not cover the unpaid work of homemakers. The Census of India groups them into 4 categories. Cultivators are farmers who farm or supervise the land that they own or take on rent. Agriculture laborers are those who work on another's farm for wages in cash or kind. Workers in household industries would be those who are manufacturing or repairing some product at home, such as husking of paddy, beedi workers, porters, weavers, repair of footwear, manufacture of toys, matches, etc. Other workers would be those who are employed in factories, trading, casual labor, and all other occupations. Changing population size. Population is dynamic. The numbers, distribution, and composition of the population are always changing. This is because of interaction of the 3 processes: births, deaths, and migrations. Change in the size of population is the difference in the number of inhabitants of a country. Territory during a specific period, say during the last 10 years, such a change can be expressed in 2 ways: as absolute number or as percentage change. The absolute number added each decade is the magnitude of increase. It is obtained by simply subtracting the earlier population from the later population. If the result is a positive number, the population has increased. If it is a negative number, that population has decreased by that number. Population change absolute numbers is equals to population at later date minus population at earlier date. Population change in a place is equals to number of birth plus number of in migrants minus number of deaths plus number of out migrants. A positive number means the population has increased by that number. A negative number shows that it has decreased by that number. Assume for the moment that there is no migration. In order to calculate these increases, we examine two rates. Birth rate is the number of live births per thousand persons in a year. In 1992, the birth rate in India was 29. This means that for every 1,000 people living in the country during that year, 29 live births took place. Death rate is the number of deaths per 1,000 persons in a year. In the year 1992, for every 1,000 persons living at that time, 10 people died during the year. Therefore, 19 people for every 1,000 was the addition during the year. Number can be expressed as a percentage, that is 1.9 percentage. We say that the population growth rate was 1.9 percentage for the year 1992. The rate or the place of population increases is important. It is studied in percent per annum. For example, a rate of increase of 2% means that in a given year there was an increase of 2% for every year, 100% in the base year. This is calculated year by year like in compound interest. This is referred to as the annual growth rate. India's population has been steadily increasing. In order to examine the cause for the growth of India population as seen from the graph above, we need to look at the both death rate and the birth rate. There has been a rapid decline in the death rate, but till recent times birth rate has not been decreasing subsequently. The period 1901 to 1921 witnessed high death rates due to feminine epidemics, including influenza epidemic of 1918 that is estimated to have killed 15 million people. From 1921 onwards, and especially post-independence, impact of feminines declined because of feminine relief movement of grain, ration shops, and an active public voice is a democracy. Epidemics such as cholera, plague, and to some extent malaria has been also controlled. Populated water, congested living, and uncleared garbage were the real causes of several diseases. These causes have to be met with better sanitation, clean water, and nutrition, and several steps have been initiated. Later on, advances in medicine, especially antibiotics and vaccines, contributed to better health care. Compared to 1921, death rates fell rapidly. High birth rates along with declining death rate led to higher rate of population growth. Why did birth rate remain high for such a long period? One set of reasons has to do with what has happened in the past. If in the overall population the percentage of young people is high, then in the coming years they would grow up, get married, and have children. The total number of such children added each year would be high because we begin with a population with a large number of young people. The other reason is the number of children that couples wish to have. This in turn is related to how many children survive, what social security people have, the reference for a male child in society. Since 1981, birth rate had also started declining gradually, resulting in a gradual decline in the rate of population growth. Calculate the percentage of change over the decades 1951 to 2011. We use another concept called the fertility rate, total births per woman. Total fertility rate is the number of children that are probable to be born to a woman if she were to live to the end of her childbearing years, their children in accordance with current patterns. If these declines, then we can say that couples are deciding to have fewer children. Factors both within the family and outside are contributing to these decisions. The fertility rate for India in 1961 was 5.9, which indicates that on an average each woman was likely to bear 5 or 6 children. The family decides the number of children they want depending on security, opportunities for children and social norms. There have been some changes in this outlook. Present fertility rate is in India is 2.7. In combined Andhra Pradesh, fertility rate is 1.9. The third component of population change in migration. Migration is the movement of people across regions and territories. Migration can be internal within the country or international between the country. International migration does not change the size of population but influences the distribution of population. Within the nation, migration plays a very significant role in changing the composition and distribution of population. We often hear people talk of population growth in alarm tones. These people are often literate and talk about others not benefiting because there are too many people who have to share very few resources. However, families decide the number of children they want to have based on many considerations such as the resources they own, their security in old age, etc. Most often families with large number of children are poorer than the rest, don't own many assets and rely on their children for old age security. Population density. Population density provides a better picture of its distribution. Population density is calculated as the number of persons per unit area. India is one of the most densely populated countries of the world. The population density of India in year 2011 was 382 persons per square kilometers. Densities vary from 1002 persons per square kilometers in Bihar to only 17 persons per square kilometers in Arunachal Pradesh. Assam and most of the peninsula states have moderate population densities. Hilly, dissected and rocky nature of the terrain, moderate to low rainfall. Shallow and less fertile soils have influenced population densities in these areas. The northern plains and Kerala's in the south have high to very high population densities because of the flat plains with fertile soil and abundant rainfall. We have to examine the history of the region, the terrain and climate conditions to be able to understand these variations. Even though fertile land and irrigation is able to support a larger population than before, the impact on each group is different, especially for small farmers